The amount of times I've seen people that have left their dogs for boarding, and maybe they've never left the dogs for boarding before, right? Or maybe they left the dogs for much longer than they usually do. And they run into a problem when they first see the dogs again. I've seen that happen many times over the last 10 years. One in particular I can remember. I had this client that they did boarding with us. They were from out of town. And they'd known about us, for a while and stuff, right? And they were just doing standard boarding, right? And they dropped these dogs off for boarding. They were fine with each other the whole time. They've never had issues in the past. And the owners picked up the dogs, and we brought the 2 dogs down. We gave them to the owners, and the owners started, oh my God, we're so happy to see you, blah, 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 getting them all hyped up and stuff. And the dogs literally got into a fight with each other in the lobby.
Oh, man.
Right? It wasn't a nasty fight or anything like that. But they got in a legit fight with each other in the lobby because of that burst of fucking arousal that they did right off the rip. And, this was back in the day before we used to require that all dogs did a large extent of training with us prior to boarding and all that kind of stuff for these exact reasons. So we have control over this kind of stuff, right? This was prior to the fact. So, they were just doing boarding. Here's your dogs, right? We kept them safe and alive while they're here, and here you go. And obviously, those dogs didn't have as sound of a relationship with each other as these people thought, because that burst of emotion and arousal of them just getting the dog super hyped up was enough to trigger a fight in that moment. So I say that because this shit happens, right? And you've got to be aware of it, because if you're not, you could run into big issues with it. So I'm very conscious of when I do these reintroductions, even though the woman had said that the dogs had issues with each other, but for the last 8 months or whatever it may be, they could individually be out with the other 2 and there was no problems. There was never any issues with them, right? So I said, I'm still going to kind of take this slow, right? So I brought them in one at a time, and sure as shit, there wasn't fights, but there was definitely some weird posturing and kind of let's size each other back up again. Where the fuck you been? What's going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, we got through that. It went fine. But I say this because a part of working through these issues is, as an owner, you have to be aware of all of that kind of stuff. Right? Even myself, getting back to me jumping around all over the place here right now. I just got back into town and I got my dogs, and 3 of them were at boarding at Miracle, Deli, Waffles, and Vinny. And Vera, my other dog, was with my parents for the time, right? And when I first got them back together with each other, it wasn't just throw them in the room and they're going to be good to go, even though they're fine, right? But they had a history of getting in fights with each other, 5 years ago or whatever it was, right? So every reintroduction, every new situation, I kind of take a little bit of a step back and I ask myself, is there anything I need to do in particular to make sure this goes successful? Or 2, I just make sure that I'm in a position to have an extra set of eyes on things, right? And there's always the 3-minute little awkward period of time of same deal. Like Deli and Vera, the 2 that had gotten in the fight with each other in the past, they kind of are sniffing each other, it's a little awkward, a little weird, stuff like that. It's not normal to their routines, to how they generally interact with each other. So for the whole first day of them being back together yesterday, not that I'm concerned something's going to happen, but I just have an extra set of eyes on things just in case, right? They generally never wear e-collars in the house or anything, but anytime I reintro them back together after them not having been together for a little bit, I always make them wear the e-collar for the first day back home, just in case, right? Not expecting problems, but I'm being proactive about things, right?